All right, guys. Obviously, disappointing loss for us. Gutted by it. These Big Ten games, we've played three of them. They've all come down to the last possession. And, give Penn State a lot of credit. They got a really good team this year. Mike's doing a great job. Ace, one of the best players in the country. He's just such a hard guy to play against on both ends of the floor. And those other guys, Zach Hicks with a huge game. I thought Puff Johnson gave him great minutes tonight. And, we just hung in there. We had so much foul trouble. We were doing a very poor job of fouling too much. 45 free throws. I don't know how you're going to win any Big Ten games, let alone on the road, by putting on a team on the line 45 times. And we just hung in there. We got a tough group, a resilient group. Our guys hung around. We got it to the last possession. We had so much foul trouble. We were on the road. I went for the win. We went 20 seconds there, ran a play to get Ty Berry a three, got a great look, missed it. We got the offensive rebound. It's just a difficult rule, and I'm not saying it's wrong. If it's close, they gotta call goaltending to make sure it's right. It's just a difficult rule because we then put the ball back in. So, it was a good block by the big fellow, but, wiped out, Barnheiser tying the game and then us having to play defense with 6 seconds to go. But that's part of the game. And then give them credit, forcing that turnover on the last play. We had a play with a couple different options. Obviously, handing it back to Brooks was the next one, and they kind of blew that up. And, and just kicking myself, we had a timeout in our pocket, and, we just kind of got sped up there and turned the ball over, which was a tough break. So life in the Big Ten, play a lot of tough games. You're going to play a lot of close games. And you got to try to win your fair share of them. And when you get chances on the road, it just hurts because you don't get a lot of those chances to steal one. And we were right there tonight.
Just because it's kind of an unusual situation there. Was there further explanation to you? Were you satisfied by the
Well, I know the rule. The rule is, if you think it's goaltending, in order to get it right, you have to call it. You can't no call it, and then come back and say it was goaltending. So if the official thought it could have been goaltending, then he's got to call it, and then they can get it right. So it's just sucked for us, because I know that was the rule. They did it right. It just sucked because we then tipped the ball in. But once he blows the whistle, it's dead. I couldn't tell. On live action, yes, but I wasn't. Those guys looked at it for us, so they're going to get it right when you look at the monitor, and I haven't seen it yet. But there's no reason for me to believe that they didn't get it right by all three of those guys looking at it closely on the monitor. It just sucked because we tipped the ball in, so that was the part because it blew dead. But I get it. That's the rule. I lost an NCAA tournament game like that. My first NCAA tournament against Gonzaga, where a guy went through the basket. And they didn't call it and cost us a chance to win an NCAA tournament game over a 1 seed. So, let's just get it right. And they got it right. We just were on the wrong side of a tough rule right now tonight.
Coach, you mentioned the foul trouble. What do you attribute that to, and how are you going to address that issue before Purdue?
Yeah, we got to be smarter. First of all, I attribute to Penn State. They do a really good job driving with force. They play with physicality. They got a lot of older guys. They got a ton of vets. They're not playing any freshmen. Those guys are grown men. They're driving with force, and they're putting you in a position to put your bodies on them and put your hands on them. So we were fouling too much, too many hand checks, too many, off the ball. And we're a physical team. We play physically. We just got to be smarter. There's a way to play physical without fouling as much as we did. And a big part of that is them. They put pressure on the officials to call fouls. But I think we do too. I got two guys in Martinelli and Barnheiser that drive like that too. And so I thought they should have been shooting some free throws as well. But Penn State did a great job, and that's the way it goes. It's a tough loss.
Coach, you mentioned Ace Baldwin earlier. It seemed like he was able to kind of put pressure on you guys off the dribble, and seemed like if you couldn't keep him in front, you end up having to foul. How tough of a cover was he tonight?
Tough. He's been tough. He's really hard to play. He's so shifty. He's really strong. He plays at a great tempo. He's really smart. He sees the game well, and if he can skirt around your big guys in those pick and rolls, which we did. There were a number of times we did a good job, kind of hedging out and making it a little bit harder. But as the game wears on, they put you in so many pick and roll situations. There's going to be some times when he attacks like that, and especially when the game gets going because guys get tired. And that's what great players do. You know, he just plays the game, and then late in the game, you know, he knows it's his time to kind of try to take over, and he did that tonight. He's a tremendous player. I mean, he's one of the best point guards in the country. I mean, I don't like playing against him, but I love how he plays, and obviously he's the best defensive player in our league. Probably had the two best defensive players, honestly. To me, you had the two best defensive players, Brooks Barnheiser and Ace Baldwin. To me, are just menaces defensively in this league. Their ability to deflect passes, get steals. So, you know, it's fun to see two guys like that are two-way players and play on both sides of the floor.
Conan Niederhauser is a little different than the big men that Penn State has had in the past. What stands out to you about him, what you saw tonight, and as Big Ten play goes on, you know, how do you see him stacking up with his upside here?
Yeah, very talented player. You know, his ability, because I mean they're so pick and roll based. You know, they spread the floor with pick and roll with ball playmakers, Ace, other guys. DeLeon Hicks is such a great shooter. They spread you with shooting. So then you got that lob threat, you know. So now with that lob threat, it really puts a burden on you guys, because you get strung out sometimes with their shooting and their guards, and that 7'1" athlete coming down, you know, rolling to the basket is really an added dimension, and his shot blocking. You know, I thought he had, you know, 3 or 4 really big time blocks there in the last 5 minutes, you know, when we were around the basket, and so his rim protection and his lob threat has really added a big dimension to their team.
Just after the initial burst from Penn State kind of out of the gates, it felt like you guys kind of controlled tempo there, or the pace of the game a little bit through the first half. How did you feel like that worked?
I thought in stretches good. You know, I thought the part of the game you're talking about, I thought we did a good job. And a lot of that was our young kids in the game. You know, that's what I was really proud about. I mean, we came out of the gates, Barry 2 fouls right away, Leach 2 fouls right away, Barnheiser got 2 fouls in the first 10 minutes. So we had to go deeper in the bench than we've been going. And I thought our young kids came in and really helped steady the ship there. Justin Mullins had a couple buckets, KJ Wyndham, Angelo Cheravino. And we just kind of mucked our way back into the game. I mean, but that's who we are. You know, we're kind of an old school, kind of physical, tough-minded team that just keeps battling and keeps playing. I know that about my team. And we knew that in this building. Like, there's going to be stretches where Penn State turns you over a little bit. They get on some runs with their pressure, and you got to just stay poised. And the thing I liked about certain stretches of that game was I had my young kids in the game, you know, so that can be really, really key going forward if we can continue to get minutes out of those guys.
Coach, in terms of Penn State's press, you mentioned the pressure they were putting on you. When you face teams like this, the Dayton game, for example,
Yeah.
you guys usually struggle. You had 9 turnovers in the first half. How are you guys working on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look, though, we're pretty good taking care of the ball. So to say, I mean, to go to Dayton and lose the game, I mean, they beat Marquette in there. You know, they've beaten they beat UConn. So to lose by Dayton by 4 points and to lose at Penn State by 4 points with the ball with the last possession, I think we're doing okay. So I wouldn't overreact. Did we have some silly turnovers? Yes. And they do that to you. But we also turned them over 17 times. So I think that's a little bit overblown. They're a really good team. They beat us on the last possession. We had a 3 in the air to go up 1 with 5 seconds in the game. So, you know, I think we were right there. Can we be better? Yes. Do we have to continue to be better? Yes. But I think if you look at our turnovers, I think we're one of the best in the country in terms of, you know, turnovers per game. So I think we're going to be all right in that situation.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.